Hey guys, welcome to the latest installment of SonaTalks Live. I'm Archie. I'm one of the co-founders of Sona Circle. And if this is the first time you've heard of us, we are a not-for-profit social enterprise that helps refugees connect and find employment opportunities. We've been running these Sona talks all week. Tonight we've got some great speakers. I want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in for the last few days. And without further ado, I'm going to get our first speaker up today. So we're just waiting to get connected. Hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, Archie?
I'm very well, thank you, Judith. Judith, can I just begin by getting you to introduce yourself to our viewers tonight?
Oh, thank you. I'm Judith Shalkowski. I'm a team member at Meeting Point, which is part of Christchurch Armley Community Projects in Leeds. We're a limited but really vibrant charity delivering practical and emotional support to refugees and asylum seekers for over 17 years. 3 part-time staff alongside an exceptional 40-person volunteering team. And we are known for breaking down barriers and providing a vast range of activities and services for the most vulnerable in Leeds. Normally through our weekly drop-in, we support about 525 beneficiaries, refugees and asylum seekers taking up different opportunities that contribute to their social integration. And with our many partners, we make possible a weekly food provision, health, employment, advocacy, family support, and learning of English. We're just open 2 days a week, and but our face-to-face work is really flourished. We give some really meaningful volunteering. We have a women's group that receives, connects, and gives. We have a language cafe, partner services, hot meals, food parcels, clothing, household things, and then it's just really a place to meet and gather and belong. It's like a family, really.
Wow, wow. That, that's a lot. I mean, it seems like you guys are really a hub for community within Leeds and the surrounding areas. That'd be fair to
It is
say.
very much.
Okay, that's interesting. How did you get involved in this?
Well, for nearly 20 years, I've been really passionate about working with refugees and asylum seekers. When I first moved to the UK, I started designing and leading on some family programs for national charity, and now I work part-time for Meeting Point, establishing really meaningful group work and helping to run the drop-in. But also, for example, last year I work with a small community company called Childside, and I co-founded that, and I facilitate parenting programs. And we delivered a bespoke parenting series for Meeting Point parents, and they're saying that these skills and resources are really helping so many of them to get through these stressful times.
Yeah, I can imagine. So many of the little details that we do take for granted, whether it's language learning, having somebody to discuss things with.
Over 17 years, 3 part-time staff alongside an exceptional 40-person volunteering team. And we are known for breaking down barriers and providing a vast range of activities and services for the most vulnerable in Leeds. Normally through our weekly drop-in, we support about 525 beneficiaries, refugees and asylum seekers taking up different opportunities that contribute to their social integration. And with our many partners, we make possible a weekly food provision, health, employment, advocacy, family support, and learning of English. We're just open 2 days a week, And but our face-to-face work is really flourished. We give some really meaningful volunteering. We have a women's group that receives, connects, and gives. We have a language cafe, partner services, hot meals, food parcels, clothing, household things, and then it's just really a place to meet and gather and belong. It's like a family, really.
Wow, wow, that that's a lot. I mean, it seems like you guys are really a hub for community within Leeds and the surrounding areas. That'd be fair to
It
say.
is very much.
Okay, that's interesting. How did you get involved in this?
Well, for nearly 20 years, I've been really passionate about working with refugees and asylum seekers. When I first moved to the UK, I started designing and leading on some family programs for national charity, and now I work part-time for Meeting Point, establishing really meaningful group work and helping to run the drop-in. But also, for example, last year I work with a small community company called Childside, and I co-founded that, and I facilitate parenting programs. And we delivered a bespoke parenting series for Meeting Point parents, and they're saying that these skills and resources are really helping so many of them to get through these stressful times.
Yeah, I can imagine. So many of the little details that we do take for granted, whether it's language learning, having somebody to discuss things with, is something that, like you say, when you're in a community, when you take it for granted, but people who have, been resettled here or who are refugees, you just realize just how much we lose once we're taken outside of our community. So,
So true.
yeah,
So true.
no, thank you. Now, obviously, this week we're focusing on really just how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted some of the very most vulnerable within society. We hear about BAME doctors and the frontline workers. We do hear about, obviously the different, how it's being physically affecting the young and the old alike. Just from your perspective, can you just tell us how it's affected the refugees in your region and also how it's affected the work that you guys do?
I'm really pleased to share that about the beneficiary impact of COVID-19. We found that we've had to very quickly, temporarily, sort of creatively reinvent our services to respond to the basic needs and to look to the future. We are continuing with our weekly services with a limited face-to-face contact. We're continuing to respond to needs, and I'm really keen to share what is being accomplished. As a frontline small charity, we have had to quickly respond and adapt in order to continue to meet these needs.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a picture of how the impact has been responded to, first of all, with staffing, we can't have volunteers on site. So we have just focused on meeting basic needs: food, takeaway meals, toiletries, financial support, as well as offering like a remote emotional support during these uncertain times. We're also providing advocacy and stimulation through like craft packs for children, English worksheets from the ESOL teachers, and regular online and phone contact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do realize that the majority of these beneficiaries started this pandemic already marginalized and disadvantaged in society and really reliant on charities such as ours to meet their basic emotional and practical needs. We're seeing that the pandemic has actually exacerbated existing issues such as poverty, isolation, destitution.
Mm-hmm.
It has created new ones as well, such as delays in appointments and applications,
Yeah.
which has only served to increase anxiety. And in some cases, this has left some beneficiaries between services. For example, those in temporary hostels are unable to move on, and those recently employed with 0-hour contracts are really struggling to move back into benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our funding has been impacted because so much of what we do is socially based, which is at the moment has largely been suspended, and so we can't really use that funding.
Mm.
And we're based in a church, but we are so grateful that in spite of this, we've been able to have the permission to continue to use the building in this more limited way.
Yeah.
So the things we've been able to do in spite of it is to give out the food parcels from the local grocery donors. So each week the numbers of parcels is needed to grow as people have heard about what we're doing. So we're also dropping off parcels to those who are isolated. And so, for example, on Monday, we helped 130 refugees and asylum seekers, including 30 parcels that were delivered by transport volunteers. And we provide a takeaway meal from Penny Appeal, a international Muslim charity.
Yeah.
And we've also been able to purchase and give out toiletries. And that's really appreciated, especially things like sanitary products from Bloody Good Period. And for the women's group, I set up a WhatsApp group. And so the women are really encouraging each other with like sewing masks and knitting and sharing their ideas about how to exercise in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the craft kits and the sculpture kits that we've been getting from the Henry Moore Institute, we've been able to do some things we haven't been able to do in the past.
Yeah.
We're part of we can advocate for people with the Acts 435 charity, which is an online like fundraiser for people. And so there are things that we can actually have delivered to people who are in emergencies. But the most fun thing is that our allotment is still being planted.
Oh, amazing.
And the bees are buzzing in the beehive. So hopefully we'll have some fresh food to cook when we get back together and have our amazing cultural meals.
That's brilliant. So is that one of the services that you guys offer? Have you got a little vegetable patch?
We do.
Yeah.
We have a local allotment, and people can go there and help plant and help harvest. And it's just so lovely to be able to bring that into the food stall and let people take it home and enjoy it. It's really means a lot.
Yeah, and also very sustainable as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and you've spoken so much about the different ways that you guys have had to adapt very, very quickly to adjust your offerings and your services that you provide. I was just wondering if you could just touch upon what going forward, how do you see your services impacted by sort of coronavirus, like, rolling out the day-to-day things as well as some of your wider services that you do?
Well, that's a really good question, Archie. I think the issues that clients will face are not going to disappear when the pandemic eases. And as a result, we really need to be able to continue running to provide the support on the front line, both now and going forward.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fear, I think, that once the pandemic is over, there will be less funding available for the charity sector.
Mm-hmm.
And yet our clients' needs are going to continue and possibly worsen.
Yeah, of course.
We hope to eventually to return to an active drop-in with full services and involve the partners that we so rely on to contribute to the health and the advocacy, the opportunities, perhaps even other specialty services we might sort of create. And when we're all back, we can restart the collections of clothing and household items that we have to hold off on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one thing that's true is that pandemic has not stopped children growing, and many needs have gone unmet. So the volunteers also are like so keen to get involved again. They keep asking, when can we come back?
Yeah.
So, but I think one of the things I personally am really interested in thinking about is that for some refugees and asylum seekers, COVID-19 has meant revisiting their trauma,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
feeling that lack of connection that really kept them going. And for others, it's really interesting to see that their resilience is really shining through, and it's making it possible for them to remain hopeful and to kind of share that hope with their communities. And we keep hearing about the ways that they reach out and help others and find new and creative ways to spend their time and manage their own well-being and that of their children. And I think when we do recover, we hope we'll all be stronger, more resilient, you know, and resilient enough to continue and to build on the work that we're doing at Meeting Point.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. One of the things you mentioned before is obviously things like funding and certain services have been impacted by this going forward. I think one of the questions that we are getting in our comments is, what can people do to help? How can they support you in the work that the organization does going forward?
Well, unfortunately, at the moment, we're currently limited as to what we can take in or give out, and we get so many donations normally, so we've had to say no to all those things for now. But please do support our work now and going forward in the form of any financial or like food or other practical donations if you're able to. For example, in Leeds, it's £5 to buy a return bus ticket to get a destitute asylum seeker to Meeting Point to get a parcel. And I would love for people to like and follow me on Instagram. It's new for me, so I'm really enjoying it.
We'll share your link, your follow. No.
And we are we have a Facebook page, Meeting Point Leeds, and a website, meetingpointleeds.org.uk. And I would love to share this one thing if I have a minute.
Yeah, of course, go for it.
From last week, I responded to an asylum seeker who was really feeling desperate for anything, you know, food, toiletries, anything. She's living in a hostel, and she's really caught between things. She's done so many amazing things, and she's feeling really stuck. So we managed to get her a box, and it's this kind of a thing, I think, that is a collective effort that just evokes this kind of a response from people. So she said, I am so grateful and happy just picking every single thing out of that box. I wasn't even dreaming of getting one thing in this season. She said, it seems so out of reach. She said, I have this overwhelming sense of gratitude, and I'm just so happy it's making me cry. And she said, thank you a million times. And for that, for me, it just meant so much to hear that. And there are people who are really appreciating what's happening.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that with us. I think that draws time on our time tonight this evening. I just want to extend a huge thank you from me and all the rest of the team for you taking the time to do this with us. These stories need to be told, and the work that you guys do needs to be highlighted and needs to keep going. So however we can support you, that's the best way. Yeah, thank you. So.
Thank you, Archie, and thank you, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak with SonaTalks.
Brilliant, no problem. So, guys, we're about to go live with Gawali Parsley. So we're going to take a short break now, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes to go live with Gawali. Before I do go, I just want you guys to know that we are running a Just Giving page. We're looking for donations to help create employment opportunities for refugees. The link's in our bio, and it's going to be on our story as well. Check it out, and no matter how small the donation is, it always adds up. So thank you guys, and we'll see you in a bit.
Thanks.
Thanks.